in the contract where he said that we had to wear what Mayweather wanted us to wear. $1.5 million is what Mayweather gave up, so Maidana wouldn't wear his
And the gloves that he wore were very similar anyway.
And then, you know, Power Axe, still good,
very similar.
still good gloves. But yeah, he paid $1.5 million so Maidana couldn't wear the glove.
He said, well, Ken, I wear my gloves. This is boxing. This is not called bare knuckle brawl. This is not bare knuckle brawl. The last Mexican fighter we seen, you seen what when he wore his gloves, you seen what he tried to do. And then we seen another top ranked fight. He was a top ranked fighter.
You talking about Margarito?
Yeah, Margarito. Then we seen another top ranked fighter who fought a kid back in the day, to where he died when Panama Lewis was in his corner.
You talking about Luis Resto?
Yes, another top ranked fighter. Once again, so I mean, these type of things happen in boxing. It's all about my safety. You know,
Those are the words of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Roberto Garcia. As Floyd, well, first of all, Roberto Garcia was telling the stipulations about Marcos Maidana, okay? And there was some miscommunication with Marcos Maidana and the gloves that he had that he wanted to wear versus the gloves that Floyd wanted him to wear, okay? And which was just cleared up because it was a while ago since Maidana had squared off against Floyd in the first fight. I think it was in early 13. And matter of fact, it was late 13, I believe. One of those dates, okay? Maybe it was early 14. But anyway, it's been a while, right? Been 6-7 years. Where Maidana wanted to use his own gloves. Okay, the gloves that he wore in training or whatever, there's some gloves that belong to him. Now, I assume that they were checked off by the commission. But mind you, just because the gloves were once worn doesn't mean they were illegal, okay? They had less padding because those gloves are been worn down. Anybody that boxes, okay, if you know anything about boxing, gloves wear down over time. And what Floyd was saying was like, hey, you're not wearing those gloves. Roberto Garcia's problem was they didn't say that he had to wear the gloves that Floyd Mayweather wanted him to wear. Okay, that wasn't in the contract. That was the big miscommunication right there. It wasn't that the gloves were tampered with or whatever. It's just they were old gloves, so they had been worn down. So that would be an edge to Team Maidana. Okay, Team Maidana, you know, was the B side of the equation. Since they were the B side of the equation and Mayweather was the A side, hey, they couldn't call those type of shots. Okay, and what it was, Leonard Ellerby, Floyd Mayweather, they were like, hey, you wear the gloves we tell you to wear or there's no fight, okay? According to Roberto Garcia said that we walked away. So Floyd gave him $1.5 million to wear the gloves that he wanted to wear, and I know why he did that. First of all, he gave him $1.5 million because that means Mayweather, that makes Mayweather lose about $32 million. He's not going to lose $32 million just because it was some stipulations that they didn't put in the contract, which they should have put in the contract. Okay, we're kind of punching all this. So in return, Team Mayweather gave Marcos Maidana an additional 1.5. I think he was getting $3 million anyway. So they gave him 1.5 to wear the gloves that Mayweather was wearing or the gloves that Mayweather wanted him to wear. Now, Mayweather himself, he clarified they wanted to use their own gloves. And he was like, hey, this is boxing. This is not bare knuckle. Okay. Now, please understand something about Floyd. Floyd is, you know, he's a safe fighter. He wants a clean playing field. Absolutely. But the reason he wanted certain gloves and he refused to wear the same type of gloves that Maidana or similar gloves that Maidana wore because he has brittle hands. Okay, I explained this before, but it's true. Floyd has bad hands. Floyd is not going to fight with Reyes gloves or gloves with less padding or puncher's gloves. He's not wearing them for that reason. He's wearing them. He's wearing the gloves with more cushion to protect his hands and fists, period. Okay. Now, for what Floyd said and was trying to connect the dots with Top Rank with, oh, well, he compared that to Margarito. First of all, let me counterpunch Floyd Mayweather Jr. You cannot compare to him what Maidana did with his gloves, the gloves that he had, versus what Margarito did. Okay, because Margarito cheated. It wasn't his gloves that was the issue. Okay, let's make that clear, people. It wasn't his gloves at all. So what Floyd was trying to associate Maidana with was absolutely wrong. It was off. It was his in swells. He had it was his wraps. He had a plaster. He had a plaster of Paris in his wraps, not his gloves. So that's a difference, okay? And then the wraps itself started to swell because the plaster of Paris, the more I guess sweat gets it starts to swell up over time. That's why it was hurting Cotto more and more when he was getting hit. He was the guy that suffered the damage, okay? Not Shane Mosley, okay? Shane Mosley team caught him when he was attempting to do that again, all right? But it wasn't his gloves at all. So for him trying to associate Floyd Mayweather, Margarito's, Maidana's gloves with Margarito's hand wraps, with what he had illegal in his hand wraps, is two different stories. And then he tried to associate that with Luis Resto, which was another top-ranked fighter. Now, I get what he's trying to say. They're dirty and top-ranked fighters are dirty. I don't want that to be the narrative because that's not always true. Maidana's situation was different. Okay, he didn't cheat. Okay, there was no plaster of Paris. There was no cushion taken out. There were some worn gloves that he expected to wear in the Mayweather fight. And in the contract, Mayweather should have put that stipulation in the contract. That's why he had to give him 1.5. Had it been in the contract, he wouldn't have had to give him 1.5. Counterpunch. Okay, so let's make that clear between these three cases. Okay, Conley Resto was totally different. Margarito Mosley was totally different, okay? Now, those two could be similar. You could throw them in the same boat. But Maidana, Mayweather, no, you can't. You know, Floyd just called the shots, but he had to pay to be the boss, okay? Because he knew if that fight would have been over, it was more like a bluff than anything. Because had that been the case, Roberto Garcia and Maidana, Team Maidana, they walked away. In return, okay, I'm going to give you 1.5 because they know they fucked up. That's it. They know they fucked up. Point blank, period. All right? So that's the difference with these three situations, okay? So Resto, Collins, Margarito, Mosley, Maidana Mayweather, okay? Maidana Mayweather is a totally separated incident, you know, but it is all about the safety at the end of the day. But I was just clearing that up because I heard this and I know what Mayweather thinks of loaded gloves and this, that, and the other. But no, this is a totally different story with Mayweather. Mayweather wasn't in that situation that Mosley could have been in, and Cotto definitely was in. Counterpunch. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this particular video. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.